They say you are what you eat.
You are what you can't detoxify. Hi, I'm Dr. Tom Sult. I'm a medical doctor and functional medicine practitioner.
I'm Elizabeth, an RN, and also the wellness coach here at Just Be Well. Unwellness is really the result of just a few things, your exposome and your genes. I think we all know what our genes are. Exposomes are those things that we are subject to every day. So it's everything from your environment, the foods you eat, to the things you listen to, the television shows you watch, anything that you take in with any of your senses.
Right. And then we try to, in functional medicine, we use a concept called ATMs, which is not where you get money. These are antecedents, triggers, and mediators. So antecedents are things that predispose you to an issue. So you might have a genetic predisposition maybe to be easily triggered into inflammation, or some other genetic predisposition or a trauma or something that just predisposes you to an issue. And then triggers. Triggers are events that set everything in motion. So let's say you were that person that had that genetic predisposition to inflammation, and then you get some kind of chronic gut dysregulation with imbalance of your bacteria that live in your gut, and that sets off this inflammatory cascade. And then the mediators are sort of like biochemicals, the chemicals and messengers and mediators that your body makes or that are exogenous that perpetuate the problem and prevent you from really extinguishing the predisposing issue and getting better. So those are ATMs. And the trick in functional medicine is really finding these ATMs, and we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Before we go into the solution to these problems that we're talking about, I want to encourage you to stick around till the end. We have some great information that we want to share with you. There's also going to be a chance to sign up to our community.
And it's not a raffle. Everybody can do it. You just have to sign up.
And with that, you get some free webinars and information, and then also a few chapters from Dr. Salt's book, Just Be Well.
All right, so we said that, the problem isn't you are what you eat. The problem is you are the totality of your exposome and what you cannot detoxify.
Mm-hmm. So how do we go about figuring out a solution? Well, first, we are practicing functional medicine. Functional medicine looks at the whole system. It looks at the why to your issues. So not necessarily do you have high blood pressure, but it looks at the causes of your high blood pressure.
Right, your doctor may have said you have rheumatoid arthritis. Well, that's interesting, but the better question is, well, why on earth do you have rheumatoid arthritis? And
Yeah, and we look at a timeline and really ask you, when was the last time that you felt well? Because we need to go back to that time and figure out the things that occurred that might have been the triggers.
Again, looking for those antecedents. Clues about the antecedents, clues about the triggers, and then we can do tests and so on to figure out the mediators. But yeah, that timeline, and it's usually, people will say, well, yeah, last Thursday I felt pretty good. No, when's the last time you were truly well? And then they tell you, and then you say, okay, so you were perfectly well before that? And they go, no, it was actually before that I didn't have a problem. We're trained to think about the one problem. I came to the doctor and the doctor's important and in a hurry, and oh my God, don't have any time. Well, that doesn't help with chronic disease. We want the timeline since before you were born. Right? And all of the breaks in your health. Every time your health took a break, what happened right there? That's what we're looking for in this timeline, huh?
Yeah.
So then we also use this thing called a matrix. And the matrix has 10 domains on it. There's around the outside, there's assimilation and energy production and detoxification and hormones and all kinds of stuff. So we call those little different things. So hormones are called communication as an example. Digestion, absorption, we call that assimilation because it's not just your gut, it's also through your nose and through your lungs and all kinds of things. So we look at those domains, and then in the center, there's emotional, psychological, or mental, psychological, and spiritual domains. So all totaled up, there's 10 of those. Then there's a bunch of ideas about modifiable lifestyle, and we look at all that stuff, and it's unique to each individual. So, this idea that, oh, well, just take, this, everything wonderful seems to come from the rainforest, right? You can buy elixirs from the rainforest and pills from the rainforest. And I love the old commercial that used to say, if a better body came in a can or in a pill, you'd already have one. Health is complicated. And if you're not well, or if you're not functioning at a level that's higher than, or as high as you'd like, then we really need to look at whole systems balance, not just the gut, not just your mental outlook, not just your detoxification, but the whole thing. A big component of this, though, is this exposeome. How do we minimize the exposures to bad things? How do we maximize the exposure to good things? And how do we help you detoxify everything else that's left over? Mm-hmm. And then we got to find points of leverage. So we look at this matrix. And once we see sort of, where the imbalances are, we start to think about how to fix it.
And so what can we do today? How can we start right now? And I think it starts with just, like Dr. Sult was saying, slowing down. If you're eating in a state of fight or flight, like in the car, on the way to, your kids' baseball practice, or on your way to work, you're eating in that state.
The most dangerous thing most people do every day is drive their car. And yet we think of it as such a trivial endeavor that in addition to driving the car, we think that we can, eat our meal or, comb our hair or shave.
Put your makeup on.
That's why I have a beard, so I don't have to shave in the car.
So just slow down for those meals, really enjoy those meals.
And people say, oh, that's such a great idea. How the hell am I going to slow down? It's a lifestyle choice. Mm-hmm. You need to start thinking about the difference between urgent and important. And you are an urgency addict. We're all urgency addicts. But if you really sit down and think about the difference between urgent and important, let go of the urgent stuff, only do the stuff that's important. Mm-hmm. A lot of things that are important aren't urgent, and they get neglected.
And we forget that our schedule needs a detox as well.
Absolutely.
Our schedule does, our homes do, not just detoxifying like chemicals. I'm talking about detoxifying stuff.
Yep.
We need to simplify. The less things that we're looking at and interacting with every day, the more time we do have to slow down.
Fewer things that are meaningful. Mm-hmm. That came out wrong. Fewer items that you have a lot of meaning with. That's still butchered, but anyway.
It's good.
So,
we know what you mean.
Think about this. How are your emotions a part of your life's toxicity?
Mm-hmm. Are you detoxifying your emotions? I think that's one that we all forget about, or not that we forget about, it's the hardest one to detoxify.
Absolutely.
To let those emotions, not let them erupt, but let them flow enough that they don't erupt, or that you don't shove them down till they erupt.
I like to say that life is usually a lot like a pinball machine. Somebody pulls back the thing and the ball gets fired out of the cannon, and then you're the ball and you go, ding, 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 and then over here, ding, 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 ding. And all of those ding, ding, dings are life experiences. And it's essentially an uncontrolled experiment. All the things you've bounced into, that has shaped and formulated how you respond to the world. And the thing that makes us uniquely human is that pause between stimulus and response. Mm-hmm. If you put a battery up to a worm, it has no choice but to repel. If you do that to a human being, well, if it's just a joke and somebody shocks you with a little battery thing, you go giggling, right? If it's a taser and it's a cup, maybe it's a little more serious. But there's a wide variety of opportunities. Even with that little thing that somebody's teasing you with, you could giggle, but you could get really mad, right? Mm-hmm. Because you were surprised and you went into fight or flight. But we have the choice, but we don't exercise it. So think about exercising that moment between stimulus and response and making a real decision about how you're going to respond. And it takes practice to get there, because normally we go bang and we have a reaction. So,
And how you're going to let it affect you. You know, you
Right.
have that moment where you can choose, actually, this is about them, it's not about me. I'm not even going to let that enter, and I'm not going to let it fester and grow. I'm just going to let it go.
Let it go.
Before it even gets to you.
don't let yesterday take up too much of today, right? Don't let yesterday take up too much of today. They say that forgiveness is giving up all hope of a better past. That's Lily Tomlin said that. So really, detoxify, we all know, we've heard about chemicals and blah, 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 but there's a whole new layer here too. It's the emotional, mental, spiritual, and then all the other physical biochemical detox as well. And it all plays an important role. In fact, we have another video about the autonomic nervous system that maybe you should take a look at. So, if you like this kind of content, this channel is about functional medicine, which is about everything from spirituality to elimination and everything in between. Whole life wellness. Please subscribe. Please hit the little bell so you get notifications. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.